Welcome to the Digitalized Taxpayers Briefing and Orientation. This audiovisual presentation is about the application for registration for self-employed individuals, estates, and trust. Here's a guide for business registration. Where to register business with the BIR. Application for registration of business shall be filed at the new business registration counter of the Revenue District Office having jurisdiction over the principal place of business or residence of the taxpayer. When to register business with the BIR? When the first sale transaction occurred or within 30 calendar days from the issuance of mayor's permit or the professional tax receipt by LGU. How to register business with the BIR? Number 1, New Business Registration Officer or NBRO verifies if the taxpayer exists in the Revenue Data Center or National Office Database and validates the accuracy and completeness of documentary requirements. Checklist of documentary requirements for sole proprietor, professionals, or mixed income earners. First, 2 original copies of BIR Form number 1901, version January 2018. Next, for sole proprietor or professionals not regulated by the Professional Regulation Commission or PRC, 1 photocopy of any government-issued ID like birth certificate, passport, driver's license, or community tax certificate or the cedula that shows the name, address, and birth date of the applicant in case the ID has no address, any proof of residence, or business address. Next, in case of the practice of profession regulated by the PRC, 1 photocopy of valid PRC ID and government ID showing address or proof of residence or business address. Next, 1 original BIR printed receipt or invoice or final and clear sample of own principal receipts or invoices. Note, in case taxpayer applicant will opt to print its own receipts or invoices, taxpayer applicant should choose an accredited printer who will print the receipts or invoices. Next, payment of 530 pesos if applicable for the following: 500 pesos for registration fee and 30 pesos for the doc stamp to be affixed on the Certificate of Registration or COR. Note, if the registration fee of 500 pesos was already paid, the proof of payment shall be submitted. Additional documents if applicable. First, if transacting to a representative, 1 original copy of Special Power of Attorney or SPA, and 1 photocopy of any government-issued ID of the authorized representative. Next, 1 photocopy of DTI certificate if with business name. Next, 1 photocopy of work visa for foreign nationals. Next, 1 photocopy of franchise documents like for example, Certificate of Public Convenience for common carrier. Next, 1 photocopy of trust agreement for trust. Next, 1 photocopy of death certificate of the deceased for estate under judicial settlement. Next, 1 photocopy of certificate of authority if barangay micro business enterprises registered entity. Next, 1 photocopy of proof of registration or permit to operate POI or BOI ERMM, PEZA, BCDA, TIEZA, TEZA, or SBMA. The following are the mandatory fields that should be filled up by the taxpayer in BIR Form number 1901. The taxpayer type, taxpayer's name for individual, the estate and of the trust, date of birth and place of birth, mother's maiden name, local residence address, business address, contact information, email address. In case for the authorized representative, his or her complete name, local residence address of the authorized representative. For business information, trade or business name. For authority to print, printer's name and printer's accreditation number. And lastly, the name and signature of the taxpayer or the authorized representative. Number 2, if complete, NBRO forwards the application to the officer of the day for registration, interviews the taxpayer to determine the applicable tax types, industry code, ATC, and compute penalty for late registration, if any. If incomplete, InBRO informs the taxpayer of the lacking requirements and signs the checklist of documentary requirements, or CDR. Number 3, InBRO receives the application from the OD, signs the CDR, and attaches payment for registration fee and documentary stamp. Number 4, InBRO assigns document locator number, or DLN, encodes and generates taxpayer identification number, or TIN, if taxpayer is not yet registered. For taxpayer with existing TIN, InBRO shall update his or her records. Number 5, Revenue Collection Officer, or RCO, receives payments from NBRO and encodes the pertinent payment information using MRCOS. Number 6, InBRO generates Certificate of Registration, or COR, and Authority to Print, or ATP. 7, Review by the Chief of Client Support Section, or CSS, then approved by the Assistant Revenue District Officer. Number 8, Taxpayer signs the log sheet acknowledging the receipt of application. Lastly, releasing of 1901, COR, ATP, and Notice of Issue receipts or invoices. That's the end of the presentation. For more information, you can visit or contact us through the following.